I'm here to talk about my experience with a band known as Vanta Black. They're an avant-garde death metal band based in my hometown, Battered Grove, a small but lively town in New England. The band consists of 5 members, a drummer, 2 guitarists, a bassist, and a vocalist. Beyond their roles in the band, I don't know much about them. They've only ever played shows during local gatherings since forming a few months ago. Nowhere else, and I had never seen them around town before. I still haven't to this day. I don't even know any of their names. The band and its members are cloaked in mystery. The only thing I know for certain is what I've witnessed. Before we get into the details of what I went through, let's talk about the music scene in Battered Grove. Bands here, and in the surrounding towns, are mostly metal, or at least some variation of it. Their styles range from extreme metal, death metal, and black metal to metalcore, deathcore, and even grindcore. If you're not familiar with those genres, don't worry. It's not critical to understanding my situation. I'm just trying to paint a clearer picture for those who are familiar with them. Local bands usually perform at our community meetup spot, Garrett's Locker. It's a small, beat-up venue, but it's ours. A perfect place for wild kids to lose themselves. I go there whenever I can. Watching bands play is more than just relaxing. It's cathartic. Being at a metal show is a thrill ride. The energy's electric, the people are mostly friendly. Though now and then there's some idiot who starts crowd killing like he's trying to bulldoze the pit. And the music is a magnificent force. It's a brutal blessing to your ears and a gentle comfort to your soul. There's really nothing else like it. In recent years, financial struggles pushed the owners of the venue to open their doors to touring bands. These bands draw bigger crowds than the local ones, and more people means more money. There's nothing wrong with trying to keep your head above water, especially if it means the venue gets to survive, but I miss when it was just ours. It used to feel like an underground club, almost sacred, a place reserved for local acts. It was our escape from the daily grind. I mean, it still kind of is, but touring bands bring their own fan bases, people who don't care about this place. Scene girls who only care about who's hotter, not how the music sounds. I'm not judging. I just miss the old crowd. One day, I happened to notice an invite on Facebook linking to an event page for Garrett's Locker. It was a show, but not just your average show. It was a local metal fest extravaganza, as it was so proudly written on the page. All local bands, huh? That caught my attention. I hadn't been to a full local band show at Garrett's Locker in years. This is great, I thought. I checked the lineup to see who'd be playing. I recognized every band on the list, except for one, Vanta Black. Maybe they're new, I figured, but new bands usually play early. Vanta Black was spotlighted in the event listing. That struck me as odd, but I figured they'd maybe paid for a promotion slot or something. That kind of thing happens. Rarely, but it does. I chalked it up as one of those times. Fast forward to show day. My friend Billy and I got there early, like we usually do. We've always liked hanging around outside for a bit before the show kicks off. It gives us a chance to catch up with friends and talk to some of the bands as they're setting up. We know most of the guys in these bands, been watching them play for years. It doesn't feel like a fan meetup, it feels like a family gathering. And like with any family gathering, there are always a few distant relatives you've never met. You know, the kind of cousins you didn't even know existed? That was Vanta Black. While we were chatting with the lead singer of one of our favorite bands, a bus pulled in. Thinking it was just a bus using the lot to turn around, everyone stepped aside. But instead of leaving, it parked. That's when I noticed the letters on the side, VB. That's when I knew it was Vanta Black. It was a surprise. No local band, and not even most touring bands, ever shows up at Garrett's in a damn bus. It's always like a bunch of sedans, a couple trucks, maybe an SUV or a van. Showing up in a full-on bus? That was a statement, especially for a so-called local band. That, paired with the fact that no one knew a damn thing about them, made people stop and stare. We all waited, like we were about to put faces to names, finally connect the dots. We were waiting for the big curtain pull. With their gear in hand, 5 cloaked figures stepped off the bus in order and made their way into Garrett's. And when I say cloaked, I mean fully covered, hoods and all. I couldn't see a single face. Weird doesn't even begin to cover it. It was downright bizarre. Even Billy agreed, and he's seen way more shows than I have. Besides confusing the hell out of us, Vanablack's arrival caught everyone's attention. It was all anyone could talk about the entire night. The mystery surrounding the band had everyone curious as hell. I'll admit it, I was really looking forward to seeing what they were all about. The night was great. I made some new friends, enjoyed sets from some of my favorite bands, and moshed my heart out. It was shaping up to be one of the best shows I'd ever been to. Every one of my go-to bands had played, and the only thing that could make the night better was if Vanablack actually lived up to the hype. Thing is, I'd been so wrapped up in the performances, I hadn't taken a single bathroom break. So before Vanablack took the stage, nature finally caught up with me. Now, the bathroom at Garrett's locker isn't actually in the same building. It's in a separate structure, connected to the venue by a long, narrow hallway. That meant a bit of a hike, which is honestly one of the main reasons I'd put it off so long. When I finally got to the restroom, I noticed something strange. Among the band stickers covering the wall near the sink, something else stood out. The letters VB had been carved into the wall, along with some strange symbol. I figured one of Vantablack's members must have done it. Still, carving it into the wall, kind of destructive. And also, why? Scratching your band's initials and some cryptic mark into the wall of a restroom isn't exactly prime advertising. I just shrugged it off, did my business, and headed back to the show. On the way back, I could hear music flooding the room. Vanablack had already started their set. From the way it echoed through the hallway, they sounded good. Not just good, they sounded amazing, even better once I had a clear view of the stage. All the members were dressed in black, somber outfits. Their gear included metal gauntlets, spiked boots, chainmail shirts, and horned helmets. The vocalist wore something that looked like samurai armor. Each of them had their own style, but all the costumes and armor shared the same jet black hue. Honestly, they looked like RPG villains come to life. It was badass. That's when things got weird. I'd been so caught up in the sound and the theatrics that I hadn't noticed what was happening around the room. But when I looked down at the crowd, I realized what they were doing. Everyone had their left arms raised, swaying in sync, back and forth. It was like they were in a trance. Now, I've been to a lot of metal shows. I know what a crowd's supposed to look like. Disorderly, chaotic, totally unpredictable. But this was none of that. Everyone was completely in sync. No moshing, no jumping, just a room full of people swaying like the undead. And let me tell you, it was creepy as hell. Freaked out, I went to find Billy, hoping he'd have some idea what the hell was going on. I spotted him near the back of the crowd, walked up, and asked what he was doing. No response. I shouted into his ear. Still nothing. Frustrated, I grabbed him and shook him hard. No reaction, just the same slow, eerie swaying. Everyone was doing it. I looked over at the sound tech and the person running the lights. They were swaying too, completely entranced by the music. I was speechless. I watched the rest of Vanablack's set from the back of the room, too stunned to move, completely unsure of what the hell I was even watching. Eventually, they finished their final song, and just like that, everyone woke up. Faces blank, more lifeless than I'd ever seen them, they stumbled out and filed back to their cars. Billy was driving, so I had no choice but to go with him. On the way home, I told Billy how I'd tried to get his attention during the set. He didn't seem to remember any of it. The only thing he did remember was Vantablack. He couldn't stop talking about how insane their performance was. That was all he talked about on the drive. At the end of it all, he told me they were his new favorite band, that no one else came close. And this was after just one show. I didn't share what I was thinking. I just wanted to go home, get some sleep, and forget the whole thing. And I did, at least until the next morning. I woke up the next day feeling sore, arms and legs aching from the night before. That's just how it goes after a good mosh session. I popped a couple of aspirin and started going through my usual routine. Everything was normal, until I checked my phone. I had a few Facebook notifications, nothing special. A like, a comment. But then there was another one, an invite from Billy to like a page called Vantablack. And just like that, the memory of the band's unsettling performance the night before came rushing back. How they hypnotized my friend. I decided to dig deeper. I clicked on their page and started poking around for their music. They had one release, The Nihilist. The album was free to download and contained 5 tracks, all of which I remembered from the night before. One track in particular stood out, The Knowledge of the Cursed. That was the one they were playing when I walked back into the room. All the tracks were professionally recorded, crystal clear, on par with any established touring band. I was seriously impressed. But that wasn't the reason I was here. I scoured the page, looking for any clue, any explanation of what had happened the night before. There wasn't much. The page had only just been created. No photos, no posts. And yet, they already had over 200 likes, roughly the same number of people who attended the show. No brand new band gets that kind of following overnight. Not unless something shady is going on. Something wasn't right. I sat there, stunned, just staring at the screen, until I saw it. Vantablack's first official post. It was an announcement for their next show. The post read, Vantablack's secret show only for true followers. The title alone gave me chills. I clicked to read more. Welcome to our belief system. This is your chance to show Vantablack that you're a true follower. The rules are simple. Find a Stygian book. That will be your ticket to the performance. Inside, you'll find the coordinates for the next show. The locations of the books are listed below. Multiple locations were listed, including Grovewood Cemetery, which just so happened to be right next to my house. I didn't understand the secrecy or the meaning behind this whole event, but I felt compelled to dig deeper. Something wasn't right, and I needed to find out exactly what. I figured maybe this secret show would provide some answers. So I made up my mind. I was going to find the Stygian book. It took me hours wandering through the cemetery before I found what I was looking for. Resting atop one of the headstones was a small, leather-bound book, deep brown, worn and ancient. I picked it up and examined it. It had no markings, no title. The only feature was an embossed black shape on the cover, the silhouette of a ram's head with massive curling horns. Inside, there was a single page with coordinates to the upcoming performance. The rest of the pages were blank. Despite how plain it was, the book felt deliberate. There was a beauty to its simplicity, its mystery. Vantablack had gone all out for this event. Honestly, that alone made me even more curious to attend. Not because I trusted them, but because I needed to know. The next day, I typed the coordinates into the GPS app on my phone. The place was still within my town, but it seemed to be deep in the forest. That made me hesitate, but curiosity won over my fear. I walked there. It wasn't really a big deal. A long walk wasn't a bad thing for me. To make sure I had extra time when I got there, I entered the forest from behind my house. It took me about 2 hours to reach the spot. There was no trail, so most of the time I was fighting through branches and bushes. Like hell on earth, but I made it in time. When I arrived, I noticed something immediately. There were no instruments or equipment. Kind of hard to perform without that stuff, huh? What I didn't know was that there wouldn't be a performance, at least not the musical kind. The members were standing by a large tree, wearing the same cloaks they wore when they came to Garrett's. Others had already arrived. I watched as they approached the band members, handed them books like mine, and then formed a circle. I followed suit. The circle was intentional. On the ground in front of us was a large symbol sprayed in red paint. It was the same sigil I had seen carved into the bathroom wall, now surrounded by a circle. Before I could understand what it meant, I saw Bill stepping forward and handing over his book. I wanted to wave and greet Billy, but quickly dropped the idea. He looked different, yet familiar. He had the same expression as when he swayed to Vantablack's music the other day. I looked around and realized they all had the same look. Everyone was in a trance, just like at the performance. I was the only one unaffected. Trying to blend in, I mimicked their expressions. I had to pass as one of the true believers. I couldn't risk being kicked out after making it this far. Not long after, the lead singer stepped forward and pulled down his hood. The event was about to begin. The lead singer of Vantablack spoke loud and confidently, reciting the following words as the ritual began. Welcome, true believers. We are grateful for the journey you've made to be here today. We are grateful for the sacrifices in your lives, past, present, and future. We are here to share the burden. We are here to unite as one. Do you want that? Everyone answered in unison, yes. I tried, but I don't think anyone noticed I failed. For the next hour, the singer kept speaking, prompting us to repeat phrases in response. I don't remember much of what he said because I was too focused on blending in and terrified of what would happen if my true intention was discovered. But I do remember what happened to me at the end. That part's hard to forget. At the end of his long sermon, the lead singer raised his left hand and shouted, "No escape, no justice." I recognized it as a lyric from the knowledge of the cursed one. Everyone repeated it. So did I, in the moment. Then one of the band members pulled out a long-horned goat skull and placed it in the center of the symbol. The lead singer stepped behind it. I didn't know what to expect. At that moment, he began calling names. Full names. I had no idea how he had that information, but when someone's name was called, they had to step forward and stand in front of the skull, facing the singer. Billy was first. Still hypnotized, Billy walked to the skull and raised his arm. I was confused. The lead singer then pulled a small knife from his robe and cut Billy's arm, letting the blood drip onto the skull. Billy didn't react, but I did. I flinched in fear. Would my arm be cut like that too? What if I screamed in pain? What would they do if they found out I wasn't a sheep? Those were the questions racing through my mind as I watched my friend's blood stain the skull red. I felt more terrified as name after name was called and arms were sliced open by the singer's blade. I didn't understand, and I didn't want to. I just wanted out. I thought about running, but I knew I wouldn't get far with all the forest's obstacles. And I was outnumbered. One person catching me would be all it took to drag me back, so I stayed. My name was called last. I hesitated before stepping forward and facing the lead singer. He stared at me for a long moment before speaking. "Are you a true believer?" "Yes," I said. He kept watching me, then said, "No escape," he shouted. "No justice." I followed, almost instinctively. The singer then cut my arm and my blood began dripping onto the skull like all the others. I could feel the color draining from my face, but I didn't react. It hurt a lot, but my will to survive was stronger. The lead singer smiled and allowed me to rejoin the others. Guess I acted well enough. After cutting me, the singer ended the ritual by thanking everyone for their participation. I started walking home, but once I was far enough from everyone, I broke into a run. I was truly terrified, yet I also felt euphoric for surviving it. Who knew what might have happened if I cracked under pressure? After getting home and bandaging my arm, I sat down and took a deep breath, grateful to be alive. Vantablack has played many shows at Garrett's Locker since that brutal ritual in the woods. I haven't gone to any of them. I wasn't affected like the others, and I think it's because of what happened at the start of their performance, whether it was a spell, an incantation, or a ritual. I missed the start of that night's show thanks to a random bathroom trip, and maybe that saved my life. Even though I don't attend their shows, I've kept an eye on their Facebook page. After every gig, their follower count rises. After each big jump in likes, they host a new, secret show. I don't know what to do. I'm scared for my friend. I'm scared of what Vantablack will do next. I've thought about going to the police, but I'm too paranoid. If any of the members found out I was trying to stop their act, I could become a sacrifice in one of their rituals. Since that day in the forest, I've been having nightmares. Everything in the dream plays out like it did in real life, but instead of cutting arms, he stabs people in the heart, killing them instantly. I want to run, but I can't move. After watching everyone else die, the lead singer walks over to me. Just before he delivers the final blow, I wake up. It happens every night. Why? Why is this happening? What scares me most is that I've found myself listening to their music more and more. It's the only thing that soothes me now. And when I do, I feel the pull to join them. I feel like I need to be part of their twisted cult, and I don't know why. I'm at the end of my rope here, and I feel like I'm slipping. Their lyrics keep echoing in my head, and I think they're right. There is no escape. There is no justice. I don't think they can be stopped, and I don't think I can keep myself away from them much longer. I just want the nightmares to end. I think it's time I became a true believer.